So, Era Liam tells us you're a librarian. That phrase dripped with a condescension that only old money could muster. That's quaint, I suppose. Tell me, what about your family? What do they do? My parents passed away when I was very young, she replied, keeping her voice steady, betraying none of the pain that still lingered. I was raised by a guardian, and I don't have much family left, I'm afraid. The moment those words left her lips, they branded her. Gold digger, opportunist, a beautiful, calculated trap. That's all they saw. What they utterly failed to grasp was the sheer immensity of the power they were dealing with. They saw a quiet woman, content with a simple life amongst books. They didn't see the woman who held the threads of a global empire in her very hands. A woman whose name was quietly etched onto skyscrapers and foundations across the world. A silent testament to her family's reach. Little did they know, the day they finally pushed her too far would be the day they awakened a sleeping giant. Ella Vance, from the moment she drew her first breath, was born into a world awash in unimaginable wealth. The Vance family name was more than just a name. It was synonymous with power, influence, a dynasty built on the backs of international shipping, sprawling energy conglomerates, and cutting-edge technology. But for Ella, that gilded cage was suffocating. She grew up perpetually surrounded by people who never truly saw her. They only saw her trust fund, her invaluable connections, the weight of her last name. Love was a carefully calculated transaction. Friendship was nothing more than a networking opportunity, a chance to climb another rung on the social ladder. She was bone-tired of it all. She craved something real, something genuine, something pure that wasn't tainted by the ever-present glint of gold. So she made a choice that shocked the very few people in her world who even pretended to know her. She walked away. She left it all behind. She moved to a new city, found a small, unassuming apartment in a quiet neighborhood, and took a job as a librarian. She told no one her real name, introducing herself only as Lara, a shortened, simpler version. She yearned to be valued for her mind, for her heart, for the very essence of her being, not for the size of her bank account. And it was in that quiet sanctuary, nestled between the towering aisles of dusty, forgotten books, that she met Liam. Liam was an architect, brimming with big dreams that stretched towards the sky, and an even bigger heart overflowing with kindness. He was funny, intelligent, and possessed an infectious sense of wonder that colored the way he saw the world. He fell head over heels in love with a librarian who could effortlessly quote classic poetry from memory, and whose laughter sounded like pure sunshine breaking through the clouds. He didn't need to know about her family, her history, or her vast and intimidating finances. He loved her simply and completely, for who she was at her core. But his family, with their deeply ingrained prejudices and unwavering sense of entitlement, were about to test that love in ways neither of them could possibly imagine. The first dinner at Liam's family home felt less like a welcoming gathering and more like a hostile interrogation. His mother, Margaret, a woman whose face had seemingly been permanently frozen into a mask of disapproval, surveyed Lara's simple dress with a critical eye that missed absolutely nothing. His sister, Chloe, offered a smile that never quite reached her eyes, a carefully practiced expression of polite disdain. His father, Robert, shook her hand with a grip that felt less like a greeting and more like a silent assessment, a weighing of her worth. So Margaret began, her tone dripping with an overly sweet, almost saccharine quality. Liam tells us you're a librarian. That's quaint. What about your family, dear? What do they do? Lara kept her story simple, sticking to the narrative she had carefully prepared, a shield against their inevitable probing. My parents passed away when I was young. I was raised by a guardian. I don't have much family left. The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Chloe smirked, a subtle, cruel twist of her lips. Oh, a charity case. How noble of you, Liam. Liam shot his sister a sharp, warning look, his jaw tightening. Chloe, stop it. But the seed of doubt had already been planted, taking root in their minds. From that day forward, Lara wasn't seen as a person in their eyes. She was reduced to a project, a liability, a gold digger patiently waiting for her opportune moment to strike and bleed them dry. Every family event became a new trial, a fresh opportunity for them to subtly undermine her and question her motives. They would offer backhanded compliments disguised as polite conversation. "That's a lovely blouse, Laura. You can find the most amazing things at thrift stores these days. Can't you?" They would conveniently forget to include her in conversations, launching into discussions about lavish vacations and ridiculously expensive hobbies they knew she couldn't possibly afford. Chloe was, without a doubt, the worst. She would whisper pointedly to Liam, just loud enough for Laura to hear. "Are you sure about her, Liam? She's awfully quiet, don't you think? People with nothing to hide usually aren't so secretive, are they?" Liam, bless his heart, defended her fiercely, always. He loved Laura with every fiber of his being, and he genuinely believed that his family would eventually see the incredible woman he saw, the woman who had captured his heart and soul. But Laura knew better. They didn't want to see her. They had no interest in understanding her. They only wanted to see the label they had so carelessly slapped on her. The label that allowed them to dismiss her as nothing more than a scheming social climber. The final straw came a year later, during their annual Christmas gathering. The family gathered around the towering, exquisitely decorated tree, exchanging gifts that cost more than Lara's yearly salary. Laura had painstakingly hand-knitted a beautiful, soft scarf for Margaret, choosing the finest cashmere wool, and had gifted Robert a rare, first-edition book she discovered through a library archive, a true treasure. They were received with polite but undeniably cold thank yous, devoid of any genuine warmth. Then it was Chloe's turn. She handed Laura a small, perfectly wrapped gift with a malicious grin plastered across her face. "This one's for you, Laura. I thought it might be helpful." Laura carefully opened the gift. Inside was a book. The title, emblazoned in bold gold letters, screamed its message. The Art of Marrying Up, a guide for the ambitious woman. A few cousins snickered, unable to contain their amusement. Margaret let out a quiet, disapproving tisk, but did absolutely nothing to reprimand her daughter. Robert simply looked away, feigning indifference. The air in the room grew thick with humiliation, heavy and suffocating. Lara's cheeks burned with shame, but her eyes remained steady, refusing to betray her inner turmoil. Liam stood up abruptly, his voice trembling with barely suppressed rage. "What is wrong with you people? We're leaving." He took Lara's hand, and they walked out of the house, leaving the cruel laughter and condescending remarks echoing behind them. That night Lara cried, not because of the insult itself, but because the man she loved was being so deeply hurt by the very people who were supposed to love him unconditionally. She couldn't bear to see him suffer because of her. 2 years into their relationship, Liam proposed. He took her to a secluded spot in their local park, under a breathtaking sky full of twinkling stars, and presented her with a simple, elegant ring he'd been saving up for months to buy, a symbol of his unwavering commitment. She said yes without hesitation, her heart overflowing with a love so profound it took her breath away. He was everything she had ever wanted. But when they shared the joyous news with his family, their reaction was ice cold, a chilling blast of disapproval. Margaret pulled Lara aside at the engagement party, her voice a low, venomous hiss. "I don't know what your game is, young lady, but I'm warning you right now. My son is a good man with a bright future ahead of him. We will not let you drag him down into your little world of nothingness. If you think you're getting your hands on his inheritance or his future earnings, you have another thing coming. We will be watching you every single step of the way." Lara didn't flinch. She simply looked the older woman directly in the eyes, her gaze unwavering, and said, "The only thing I want from your son is his heart, Margaret. I'm truly sorry you can't see that." Margaret scoffed, completely unconvinced. The threat was clear, hanging in the air like a thick fog. They would never accept her, never truly welcome her into their family. The breaking point, the moment everything irrevocably changed, came at Margaret and Robert's lavish 30th anniversary dinner. Liam, who had recently received a major promotion at his firm, insisted on treating his entire family to a meal at the city's most exclusive and ridiculously expensive restaurant. a place where the champagne flowed freely and the caviar was always fresh. Throughout the entire dinner, the family directed all their praise and attention towards Liam, pointedly ignoring Laura as if she were nothing more than a silent accessory, a pretty ornament to be admired but not engaged with. Finally, as the dessert plates were being cleared away by the attentive waiters, Robert raised his glass in a toast, his voice booming across the table. "To our son, Liam," he announced, his voice dripping with pride. "For his success, his hard work, and his incredible generosity in treating us all tonight." He then turned his gaze to Laura, a smug, almost predatory look on his face. "And a special thank you to Laura, for letting him spend his money so freely. It must be nice to finally enjoy the fruits of someone else's labor. Wouldn't you agree?" The entire table fell silent, the clinking of silverware and polite murmurs replaced by a deafening hush. It was a direct hit, a public declaration meant to humiliate and belittle her. "You are a gold digger," his words screamed. Liam started to object, his face flushed with anger, but Laura gently placed a hand on his arm, stopping him with a subtle but firm touch. She looked at Robert, her expression completely unreadable, betraying no emotion whatsoever. For years, she had patiently endured their whispers, their thinly veiled insults, their constant judgment. She had stayed silent, swallowing her pride, all in an attempt to protect the simple, beautiful life she had built with Liam, a life that was free from the burdens of her family's wealth. But in that moment, she realized that her silence wasn't protecting him. It was enabling them, allowing them to continue their cruel and unwarranted behavior. It was time for the truth to finally be revealed. Laura slowly and deliberately folded her napkin and placed it neatly on the table, her movements precise and graceful. A strange calm, an almost unnerving confidence, settled over her, radiating outwards like a tangible force. "You're right, Robert," she said, her voice clear and steady, cutting through the suffocating silence like a knife. "It is nice, which is precisely why tonight, the fruits of my labor will be taking care of this entire bill." She motioned for the waiter, who rushed over to their table with practiced efficiency. "The check, please, for the entire table." Before anyone could even begin to protest, she reached into her simple, unassuming purse and pulled out a card. It wasn't a typical credit card, the kind that most people carried. It was sleek, black, and made of metal, heavy and substantial in her hand. She handed it to the waiter. The waiter's eyes widened almost imperceptibly in recognition. He had been meticulously trained to recognize it, to understand its significance. The Centurion card, an invitation-only card reserved for the world's wealthiest individuals, a symbol of unimaginable affluence. His entire demeanor shifted in an instant, transforming from polite professionalism to deeply deferential. "Right away, Ms." He paused, carefully examining the name embossed on the card, and his jaw nearly hit the floor. "Right away, Ms. Vance." The name echoed across the table, hanging in the air like a thunderclap. "Vance." Chloe frowned, her brow furrowing in confusion. "Vance? Why did he call you Vance?" Laura pointedly ignored her sister-in-law. She calmly took out her phone, placed it on the table, and dialed a number, putting the call on speakerphone. A crisp, professional voice answered almost immediately. "Vance Global, David speaking. How can I help you, Miss Vance?" Lara's voice was calm and authoritative, the voice of a woman accustomed to being in charge. "David, it's me. I need an immediate update on the Sterling Tower acquisition. Did our final offer of $900 million go through?" The entire family froze, their forks hovering mid-air. "Forgotten." "Yes, Miss Vance." The voice on the phone replied without hesitation. "The board accepted this afternoon. The Sterling Tower is now officially a Vance property." "Excellent," Laura said, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. "Also, please have my car brought around to the front of Lucille's restaurant in 10 minutes. The Rolls-Royce." She hung up the phone. The silence that followed was deafening, heavier than any insult, louder than any argument. Margaret's face was ashen, drained of all color. Robert's mouth hung open in stunned disbelief, his proud pronouncements completely forgotten. Chloe stared at Lara, her eyes wide with a mixture of disbelief and horror, frantically replaying every cruel jab, every condescending remark she had ever made. The book, the thrift store comments, the whispered insinuations. All of it came crashing down around her. Liam looked from his family to Lara, a storm of shock, confusion, and dawning understanding swirling on his face. Vance. Lara was a Vance, heiress to the Vance fortune, a woman whose net worth could buy and sell their entire lineage 1,000 times over. The woman they had so casually dismissed as a gold digger was, in fact, the gold itself. Lara finally turned her gaze to Liam's family. There was no triumph in her eyes, no gloating, only a profound sense of sadness. "For 3 years," she said softly, her voice filled with a quiet weariness, "I have listened to you call me unworthy. I have watched you disrespect the woman your son loves, the woman he has chosen to spend his life with. I never said a word because I wanted a life where my last name didn't matter, where I wasn't judged before I even opened my mouth. I wanted a love that was real, a connection that wasn't tainted by money or power." She looked at Liam, her expression softening, her eyes filled with love and gratitude. "And I found it with him. Your son's love was the only fortune I was ever chasing." Then, turning back to his family, she added, "I'm truly sorry you were all too blinded by your own small assumptions to see it." She stood up, her posture regal, her head held high. "The check is taken care of. Please enjoy the rest of your evening." With that, she took Liam's hand, and they walked out of the restaurant, leaving his family sitting in the ruins of their own arrogance, shrouded in a heavy, shameful silence. The ride home was quiet at first, filled with unspoken emotions. Liam finally broke the silence, his voice filled with a mixture of awe and vulnerability. "Why didn't you tell me, Lara? Why keep something like that a secret?" "Because," Lara answered, her voice trembling slightly, "I needed to know that you loved me. Just me, the librarian who loves books and quiet afternoons. Not Lara Vance, the heiress." He understood. In that moment, he loved her more than ever, for her strength, her humility, and her unwavering desire for a genuine connection. The frantic, tearful apology calls from his family started the next day, but the damage was already done, the trust irrevocably broken. Liam set firm boundaries, choosing peace and respect over forced forgiveness. They built a beautiful life together, a life filled with love, laughter, and purpose. Lara continued to work at the library part-time because she genuinely loved it, the quiet solitude and the endless possibilities hidden within the pages of every book. With her immense resources, she funded Liam's dream architecture firm, which he dedicated to designing innovative, sustainable housing for low-income families, providing them with safe and affordable homes. Lara didn't change, but the world around her finally did. The whispers stopped, the judgment disappeared, because they finally saw her, not as the gold digger they had so readily labeled her, but as the queen who had been hiding in plain sight all along. How often do we judge a book by its cover, failing to delve deeper and discover the hidden treasures within? How often do we assign value to people based solely on what we think they have or what we think they want, blinded by our own prejudices and assumptions? Lara's story is a powerful reminder that a person's true worth is not found in their bank account or their last name. It's found in their character, their kindness, and their grace under pressure, their ability to rise above adversity with quiet dignity. She didn't need to prove them wrong with anger or revenge. Her unwavering truth was her victory. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who needs to be reminded of their own hidden worth, of the potential that lies within them. Because true wealth isn't about what you own. It's about who you are when you have absolutely nothing to prove, the person you are at your very core.